But let me tell you something. Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Alabama Cannabis Commission stands behind the process as a court date looms, you guys. That's right. The Alabama Medical Cannabis Commission stood firm on Thursday, which was yesterday, in its commitment to the 20 companies it awarded licenses to in December for the right to grow and sell medical marijuana, unanimously voting against a self-imposed pause on the issuance of licenses during a meeting in Montgomery. The use of medical marijuana products in Alabama was first legalized in 2021 through a bill that established the AMCC, which in June of last year awarded licenses to grow and sell medical marijuana to 21 companies. While medical marijuana products were initially anticipated to become available as soon as late of 2023, but errors in the commission's license selection process and then a flurry of lawsuits in companies that had not been selected. And now a timeline for the rollout of products is still uncertain as lawsuits against the AMCC continue to be litigated in court. Most recently, the AMCC's legal team had asked a Montgomery County Circuit Court judge this week to dismiss all cases against the commission. Judge James Anderson set a deadline of April 1st for the plaintiffs to file their own motions in response. And ahead of this impeding court date, the AMCC held its own meeting to discuss several items, two of which would be to impose a stay on the issuance of licenses in two categories: dispensaries and integrated facilities. The later being the most sought after and contested of the licenses. Lori Skelton, commissioner member and healthcare lawyer, argued that enacting a self-imposed pause on issuing licenses could send the wrong message, not only to Alabamans, but to companies it had most recently awarded licenses. In quotes, in December, the commission made a public declaration of our intent to send a message that would not impose a stay and a message that we didn't do anything wrong, Skelton said. Skelton was referring to how the commission had issued self-imposed stays in the past after its first two attempts to award licenses, stays that were imposed to address transparency and scoring issue concerns in the award process. Its third and latest award of licenses, Skelton argued, were not made with any apparent flaws in the process and should be supported. In quotes, when the court has already got us under a temporary restraining order, it seems counterproductive for us to use our own, she continued. At the same time, we were in court on Monday objecting to a TRO. Pharmacist and commission member Sam Blackenmore echoed Skelton's statements and argued that the commission should stand behind its decision made in December. In quotes, I don't want to signal that we think we did something wrong in December. Previously, when we did stays, we were essentially telling the public that we were going to redo the licenses, Blackenmore said. In quotes, I just want it on record that the state of candidates that we had in December, I really appreciate those guys. I think they'll do a good job. Commissioner Chair Rex Vaughn agreed, and the AMCC ultimately voted unanimously to table the proposal to pause the issuance of licenses. Following the meeting, Blackenmore told Alabama Daily News that beyond not waiting to delay the rollout of medical marijuana any further, he wanted to communicate to the 20 companies that had been awarded licenses in December that the commission still held confidence in its decision. In quotes, I don't want to lose those guys because those guys that we're going to need to make this medicine, Blackenmore told ADN. And plaintiffs in the ongoing cases against the AMCC will have until April 1st to respond to the commission's motion to dismiss the lawsuits, and the AMCC will then have until April 15th to respond to the plaintiff's response. Vaughn has previously estimated that products could become available to patients roughly 3 months after licenses are actually issued, and factoring in that time would take for companies to grow, produce, and cultivate medical marijuana, you guys. Well. Seems like these guys are doubling down hard on their Alabama license issuance, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this. This is Jason Beck for the High at 9 News. What do you got to say, Rico? I know you got something to say about this. You don't want to smoke no Bammer weed? I bet.
No Bammer weed.
No Bama weed. I see what it's really cute, Rico. Very, very cute. Would you say that you put 250 on it instead of 5 on it? Since it's Bama weed.
Tree fitty.
Tree fitty. I mean, doesn't this just reek of corruption? Just of how these guys are making these comments, like, hey, you know what? We're confident in our original 20. We're going to stay riding with them regardless of any of this other stuff that you guys are talking about, and we're not going to deviate from our messaging because we feel that it would deviate from our process that we already concluded.
Yeah. It seems very, very skewed. But that's politics, and is a lot more visible. The leanings towards one side or the other are a lot more visible in Southern politics. Keep it at that.
What any of the doctors, do you guys have any thoughts on this? Alabama? No? All right.
You muted, Dr. T.
There we go.
Is Alabama overtaxing their products like everyone else?
Alabama doesn't even have products on the market yet, so how could they be overtaxing them?
They don't have any laws about how they're going to tax everything.
I'm not sure exactly what their tax rate is. In all honesty, but they don't even have products even on the shelf yet. So I feel like that's kind of putting the cart before the horse in regards to this, because they're still saying before they even issue the licenses, it's still going to take 3 months even after that, and I'll argue it's going to take probably more like 6 to 9 months after that, because a lot of these places may possibly not be built out. You know what I mean? If they're just issuing licenses and whatnot, we don't know if they've allowed for different of these licensees to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in construction to build out these facilities either. So it could be a lot longer wait for Alabamans than that.
And they're saying a growth cycle is 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, it is like if from the time from when you plant a crop to when you harvest it, I think 3 months is a fair thing for regulators to go by.
Can we just point out the problem with this in California, because it takes longer to grow a good sativa.
Yeah, but that most people don't grow those anymore because they're not cost productive because of the cost of square footage and all the fees and whatnot. It just doesn't make sense for the real estate to have crops that take that long when you could end up having an extra 1 to 2 cycles per year by not growing those strains.
I understand, but some patients prefer sativas.
I get it, but they're not going to pay that extra marked up value for it that it would cost the producer to actually produce that in lost revenue if they were producing something else.
Yeah, so I think that's the biggest problem, though. It's not about the money; it's about the patients, the customer,
the custies.
And we know Blue Dream is winning, right?
That is true. That's true. It is a mids market.
Blue Dream is winning.
It is
Jake
true.
doesn't like having blue dreams. It's turning his shirts purple.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
You guys are cute.
Isn't Alabama one of these low THC oil regulations too? Everything gets turned into tincture.
Yeah, I do think that they're only allowing for manufactured products. I do think that is okay. Correct. But
so right away that program is dead on arrival, because Alabama is in the middle of Delta 8 country, where you can get Delta 8 pens and Delta 8 gummies, and all buy that at the gas station or on the internet. So really, do they really think a low THC oil? I was on an application.
Let's not assume it may not be a low THC oil. Let's just assume that is just.
I think it is. Yeah. I think it is. I think it's a low THC. So it's like, I remember, working on the application for Alabama, and we were talking about terpenes and the entourage effect, and talking about how great cannabis is, when we're basically going to turn all of the cannabis plants into vanilla distillate, which is just a low grade input that you can get. So it's painful to write an application knowing that the state regulation basically prohibits the most valuable products that could be made from cannabis, and we got to dumb them down to some stupid fucking potency level just because, what about the children kind of bullshit, right? I think Alabama's one of those states, so that program's dead on arrival.
Yeah. Not those 20 people, they're going to get them licenses.
So it looks like nobody's going to be smoking that Bammer weed.
Oh, that Bama weed.
There's going to be a handful of epileptic patients that are going to be helped, and certainly a small fraction of severe medical cases who will now have access to cannabis oil. But it will, it won't stomp out the trap in Alabama. No way.
They're gonna come out with a brand that's like a knockout tincture brand that's called the Alabama Slammer. Knock your ass out.
Oh, Alabama Phi Slamma Jamma.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Exactly.
Have Clyde Drexler and Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh boy.